what he was doing. It was weird. It was weird to see that type of fighting. But anywho, that's not Jake Paul's fault. So Jake Paul did what he needed to do, and he won, and he looked good.
Jake Paul looked really good. I think he won all the rounds. I mean, it's good for boxing. I think he deserves a chance to fight for a world title.
Jake Paul did get fatigued down the stretch, but he still held.
The boxing world was split down the middle following Jake Paul's decisive win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Some praised him, others rolled their eyes, but the buzz was undeniable. Ryan Garcia quickly tweeted, "Jake did his thing, outboxed Chavez Jr. It was short, but heavy with meaning." Shane Mosley echoed that sentiment, going a step further by commending Jake's footwork, composure, and clean execution inside the ring. He fought a great fight, Mosley noted, before turning his sights on Chavez Jr., whose erratic performance left many baffled. Weird behavior, Mosley called it, adding that it might be time for Julio to hang up the gloves for good. That view wasn't isolated. Fans and analysts alike couldn't ignore Jake's evolution as a fighter, but they were just as quick to question whether Julio even showed up to compete.
Jake Paul fought a great fight. You know, he moved around the way he's supposed to, throwing great punches, and for the experience he had, he did fantastic. Junior, on the other hand, he didn't throw any punches until the third or fourth round or something. He was just kind of walking forward, and I don't know what he was doing. It was weird. It was weird to see that type of fighting, but anywho, that's not Jake Paul's fault. So Jake Paul did what he needed to do, and he won, and he looked good.
Where do you think Junior goes from here, in your opinion, Shane?
Junior needs to retire from here.
Junior needs to retire.
He needs to retire. I mean, if you can't throw any punches in 2, 3, 4 rounds, you need to retire. I mean, if you can't, what are you doing? What are we doing? You just living up. Basically, you're living off your father's name. That's basically what you do, because you didn't even fight until the last round, maybe last two rounds, and threw some punches, and you had some success when you threw some punches.
Not everyone was impressed. Piers Morgan, never one to hold back, went scorched earth. "I had a better fight with Jake Paul on Thursday than the unwatchable farce that took place tonight," he declared. His take? Jake's raking in cash, but at the cost of boxing's soul, calling it staged nonsense against faded legends. Meanwhile, rising contender Rayo Valenzuela offered a starkly different perspective. He didn't just say Jake fought well, he acknowledged that Jake looked sharp throughout and earned that win. In an unexpected statement, Rayo went as far as to suggest Jake belongs in the top 15 to 20 of his weight division. For someone inside the sport with legitimate credibility, that kind of praise marks a major shift in perception. Jake Paul, the YouTuber? No. Jake Paul, a ranked professional fighter? That's now a real conversation.
Oh, great fight. Julio's back after all he's been through. So, I tip my hat off to him. It's not easy, especially through, what life throws at you sometimes. But, it was a good fight.
What'd you make of how Jake Paul looked and fought?
He's doing his thing. Jake Paul's looking good. Shout out to him. Yeah.
Do you think he's ready to fight maybe a top 15, top 20?
Sure, yeah.
So I guess where does Junior go from here, in your opinion?
It's up to him. He can retire if he wants, or he can have another, fight like this. Fight a YouTuber or something.
Yeah.
Adding even more legitimacy to Jake's win, Jose Benavidez Sr., father and trainer of super middleweight star David Benavidez, praised Jake's performance with genuine enthusiasm. After watching Jake take down Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Benavidez Sr. called the showing impressive and even floated a possible future fight between Jake and his son David. That's no light suggestion. This is a trainer known for building champions, not throwing out PR stunts. He went a step further, saying Jake now deserves a world title shot. Whether that's realistic or not, the comment underscores one thing: respected professionals in boxing are no longer laughing. They're watching. And they're acknowledging that Jake Paul has entered a new tier.
I think Jake Paul looked really good. I think he won all the rounds. I mean, it's good for boxing. I think he deserves a chance to fight for a world title. He proved it today with the ex-world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez
that I mean, he dominated and he did really good.
What did you think of Chavez's performance? Early on, he didn't throw a lot, and then towards the end, he had some moments. Were you disappointed in Chavez?
Well, I thought, you know, he was going to try to get Jake Paul a little tired. He was blocking and taking all his shots, but I think he just got tired, you know, and couldn't execute it. So Jake Paul did a great job.
Boxing analyst Showbiz the Adult, known for calling things straight, broke it down with surgical clarity. He said what many were thinking but few dared to say publicly: Jake Paul has improved more than fans are willing to admit. The stigma of his social media origins still clouds judgment, but the technical growth is there. Showbiz highlighted Jake's discipline, control, and most notably, his timing and underrated skill in elite boxing. According to him, Jake is no longer just some overhyped entertainer cashing checks. He's now a calculated, patient, and fundamentally sound fighter. It's not about hype anymore, he said. It's about skill.
Looked at Jake, I was saying thank you, Jake. Yep, I was saying thank you, Jake. A lot. The thing is, not to say that because he beat a 6-year-old Mike Tyson that, you know, that impressed me with. What I'm saying is, you couldn't really see everything that Jake possessed in that fight. He has gotten way better. I saw him training, and I'm like, the guy is good. He messed around and got good. He messed around and got good. You don't like Zurdo fight? Dog, Zurdo looked, I mean, that was one of the best I've seen, but the best times I've seen him. No, Zurdo won this clear to me. Don't forget that was a point deduction. Going 15, 113. I mean, 113, 112. 117, 110. Yeah, it was clearly Zurdo. Clearly Zurdo. Yeah, it was clearly Zurdo, bro. I mean, Zurdo was making a miss, and I mean, Zurdo was really, I was impressed by his defense.
Ringside footage told its own story: complete domination. From the opening bell, Jake Paul controlled the tempo while Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. looked lethargic, uninspired, and disconnected. Clips flooding social media showed Chavez barely throwing meaningful punches. Meanwhile, Jake's jab was crisp, his movement fluid, and his conditioning undeniable. He didn't just win by throwing more, he won by thinking more. Observers pointed out how poised Jake remained round after round, sticking to his game plan, never chasing wild moments, and outboxing Chavez both mentally and physically. This wasn't just a win, it was a command performance.
Paul has defeated Chavez Jr., right? This fight, Chavez got active in them last 3 rounds and he really showed his power. But throughout most of the fight and throughout those first 5 or 6 rounds, right, most of us were saying, is Chavez here to fight or not? Because he was not throwing very much at all. And then you thought maybe the strategy is let Jake Paul get tired because he's not used to going 10 rounds, and then maybe in those last couple rounds you could get him. But Jake Paul did get fatigued down the stretch, but he still held on. He looked well even in the final 3 rounds when Chavez was pouring it on enough to get over the top. I'd say it's impressive considering Chavez Jr. is a former champion. For Jake Paul, probably gonna get a title shot soon. My question to y'all is, what did y'all think of the fight? When Chavez first came out, man, I'm like, he's not throwing. Jake Paul looked really active. I go, when is Chavez going to throw? Then Chavez began to throw, and you thought maybe the strategy is let Jake Paul get tired and then try to beat him down the stretch, right? Which I think that was the strategy. But Paul proven to hang on, and Chavez goes down in this one. So guys, what do y'all think about the fight? What do you think about Jake Paul's performance, and can he get a title shot?
At the post-fight press conference, Jake Paul's voice matched his in-ring dominance: calm, confident, and unapologetically assertive. He extended respect to Julio, calling him a tough opponent and acknowledging the pride of the Mexican boxing tradition. But Jake didn't shy away from addressing the doubters either. Actions speak louder than words, he said, challenging every critic who questioned his chin, endurance, or legitimacy. He made it clear this win wasn't about clicks or YouTube subscribers. It was about proving that he could take a punch, go the distance, and outthink a former world champion. And he did. Jake left the arena with more than just a win. He left with something fighters chased their entire careers: validation.
It's between you and Cesar Chavez Jr. tonight. Now, in round 9, the heat really turned up. Did you feel the Mexican power that he promised, or do you feel like he didn't perform the way you thought that he would?
No, yeah, he brought a hard fight there at the end, and that's that Mexican warrior style. I don't know how he was eating all those punches, to be honest. My hands low-key hurt from his face, and so respect to him. He had good cardio, and he came on strong at the end. He's a very, very strong guy, had a lot of power, but people underestimate my chin and my ability and my toughness.
Jake, Jonathan Agger of Pro Boxing Fans. During the week, you had a viral interview with Piers Morgan where he said that he didn't think that you would beat Chavez. He felt like when you fight a former world champion, you'll come unstuck. What did you prove to not only him but other people that have criticised you?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, so people can sit behind their desks and sit on their TV shows and say a lot of things about my career, but everyone's tuning in, everyone's watching, and I just continue to win.
And you mentioned Anthony Joshua. Does it end there? Would you want to bring Tyson Fury out of retirement?
Man, there's too many people for me to fight. I need more time. At the end of the day, that's the only thing I can't do is create more time. So we'll see what happens.
Jake Paul's commanding victory over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. didn't just silence doubters, it put critics like Piers Morgan directly in the spotlight. Before the bout, Piers was vocal about his skepticism, dismissing Jake's resume as a parade of washed-up names and questioning whether Jake had ever stepped in with a legitimate, battle-tested pro. He argued Jake's rise was more spectacle than skill. But Jake didn't flinch. Throughout training camp and the media blitz, he made one thing clear: reputations mean nothing, results are everything. And in the ring, he delivered. With sharp movement, smart tactics, and mental grit, Jake dominated Chavez Jr., proving he belongs. For critics like Piers, there was no clever retort this time. The performance itself did all the talking.
YouTube this, YouTube that, Disney that. This shit is not a joke. I'm knocking out the best of the best, beating all of these people time in and time again. And it's about time that you old heads and all these fucking boxers who think they know about the sport put some respect on my name.
Yeah, but you're not going to get... Look, you're going to make a ton of money. Listen, I think as a businessman, you are brilliant, right? I give you full credit for that. When you took on Mike Tyson as a business enterprise, there's no argument. You absolutely crushed the numbers, crushed the money, and everything else. But the idea that you can say on the one hand, I'm a killer, I get in the ring with the best people, and you get in the ring with a guy who's 50, he's literally nearly as old as me.
I'm not talking about Mike Tyson, I'm talking about Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, champions in their sport, Golden Gloves champions, Ryan Borland, Andre August, undefeated fighters. The list goes on and on.
But what great boxer have you been in the ring with?
Former world champion on Saturday, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., son of the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, besides me, of course. Like, I don't know what you guys want to see. I tried to fight Canelo. He ducked out of it. You asked him about that. You said he's going to kill me. So what do you want? You're laughing when you say, oh, Jake is going to fight Canelo. I think you would kill him. But then you're like, oh, you're not fighting this guy. You're the problem here with this whole situation and criticism of my career. I'm trying to fight the best people, and that's why Chavez is here on Saturday. I want Canelo. I want Anthony Joshua. I want all these people. It's been 5 years in this sport.
But the problem is the only proper boxer you fought was Tommy Fury, and he beat you. And he's not even the best. He's not even the best fighter in his family.
Golden Gloves champion Andre August, Brian Borland as well. Anderson Silva was an undefeated boxer. I mean, you can sit there and make up shit, but you actually don't know your facts. I fought multiple boxers with professional records, and including Mike Tyson himself, who I think is going to be a harder fight than Chavez.
Former Olympic boxer Tony Jeffries offered high praise for Jake Paul, not just for winning, but for how he prepared. Jeffries pointed out that Jake surrounded himself with world-class trainers, elite nutritionists, and top-tier sparring partners. This wasn't some casual camp thrown together by a rich influencer. Jake built the infrastructure of a serious athlete. Jeffries emphasized it wasn't about Jake flexing his bank account, it was about his full-on commitment to the craft. That level of discipline paid off. Jake didn't just show up in shape, he showed up prepared. For Jeffries, it was clear, Jake is treating boxing with the respect it deserves.
One huge advantage of having money is he can hire the best team in the world. He can have the best things possible. Like he's got a hyperbaric chamber in his home, where he's got the best kind of chamber. This is helping him with recovery. Normal fighters can't afford to do this. So because of this, he's got that advantage. Now you might be thinking, well, him getting in a hyperbaric chamber for recovery is not going to help him be a better boxer. Well, my friend, let me tell you, it is. And the reason why it is, if you think you've done a hard boxing training session and you've got another one the next day because fighters train like once, twice, even 3 times a day, you're going to recover faster. If you recover faster, what happens? You perform better on the next session. So let's just say an average boxer is progressing like this because they're not recovering properly. Jake Paul is recovering and progressing like this. We've seen how fast he has progressed, whether you like him or not. He's come from 0 boxing experience to where he's at now. Now you might be saying, well, Tony, he's fighting old men. Oh, mate. Just look at who Floyd Mayweather fought on his 6th fight, then look at who Jake fought on his 6th fight, and just see here the comparisons right there. Now back to the money, having that money, he's doing hyperbaric chambers. He's got the best sports scientists, the best trainers around. And if I was still fighting right now and I couldn't afford what Jake's got, what I would be doing is watching what he's doing. Now you might think that is absolutely crazy. Why would I want to watch Jake Paul? Well, because like I said, he's got the best equipment, he's got the best trainers, he's got the best team that money can buy. If you can take snippets of that for in your training, you know, he's doing something right.
From the moment this fight was announced, Jake Paul was locked in. He said he'd win loudly, confidently, and repeatedly, and then he did exactly that. Behind the scenes, his camp revealed Jake cut out all distractions and entered a hyper-focused zone. No social media stunts, no sideshows, just boxing. Every detail was planned, every round of sparring had a purpose, and every moment was designed to silence the doubters. And when the final bell rang, Jake had not only beaten Chavez Jr., he'd validated everything he said he would. His vision of legacy? It's no longer just talk.
It's not going to be me, but I'm training harder than ever. I know this is my toughest opponent yet. Maybe not the biggest name opponent yet, but it's still going to be a super, super good fight. So make sure everyone pull up Anaheim, California, Ticketmaster.com. Be there, baby.
I was going to say that, you know, do you think this is the toughest opponent? Obviously, he's still a guy who was, you know, he's not all that old. He's got a ton of fights. He's got, I think, 61 pro fights. Think this is the toughest challenge for you if you take everything into consideration?
Yeah, taking everything into consideration and how hard he's training behind the scenes, people saying that this is the most serious he's ever taken a fight, and the fact that he's a former world champion, 30-something knockouts, and I think he wants to put Mexico on his back and represent, and he doesn't want to lose to a guy like me because he knows that's going to hurt his legacy that he's built for himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jake, you see video of him, it looks like he's training hard. I think if there's one criticism, obviously, as you know, of his that people have always said is that, hey, he doesn't train hard, doesn't work as hard as he should, but he's a guy with a lot of talent. But if he is working hard and he does still have that talent, obviously, that could make for a dangerous opponent, couldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I bring out of my opponents. You know, even when I fly sparring partners in, they go harder than they normally do with other guys because they want to prove a point because it's me. They don't want to get beat up by a guy who's only been doing this for 5 years or so. So they always bring their A game, and that's why I'm always at my best as well, because I have to bring my A game every time.
Jake Paul's performance against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. showcased the power of youth paired with obsession. He came in fresh, explosive, and laser-focused, everything Chavez Jr. was not. Jake's pace was relentless, his stamina sharp, and his energy never faded. Chavez, weighed down by inactivity and past troubles, simply couldn't match the tempo. While Julio had the edge and experience, Jake had something far more dangerous: momentum and drive. The age gap, combined with conditioning and mindset, tipped the scales dramatically. Jake didn't just beat a veteran, he ran him over.
Answer he can. He's like, yeah, every fight's different. He's young, so he has a lot of energy. I think that, Jake also has a lot of power. Chavez Jr. has never seen. Again, he's moving up, I don't know how many weight classes from middleweight. Probably never fought a guy that hits as hard as Jake does. Not to say that Jake's, exorbitantly powerful or anything like that. He may be, but it's just he's a cruiserweight. Chavez Jr.'s fought, I think, once at cruiserweight, maybe twice now. Jake's youth is a massive factor for him. Chavez Jr. is 39. He's not, 50 or whatever, but got a lot of boxing miles on him. Has some, obviously, outside of the ring substance issues. Been out of the ring and on and off for the last however long. Has taken massive breaks. So all that's going to factor in.
Leading up to the fight, the mainstream opinion was that this was another Jake Paul circus act. Critics were sure it would be a repeat of past fights, safe matchups, scripted moments, and a predictable outcome. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was supposed to expose Jake, to finally end the influencer experiment. But that script got torn up fast. Jake flipped the narrative with discipline, effort, and a complete performance. This wasn't a fluke or another gimmick, it was a real boxing win over a real pro. And that's what makes this one different. This one counts.
Breaking news, Jake Paul is going to be taking on former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in a fight that I think is going to fool a lot of people. Now, what do I mean by fool a lot of people? What I mean is people are going to, on paper, look at this and be like, oh, Jake Paul gets schooled here, gets schooled here. Chavez Jr. is 39. He was not known as a very disciplined boxer during his prime. That's one of the reasons he had such a heavy decline. He's also a lot smaller than Jake Paul. What I will say about Jake Paul is he is a genius, or his team and management are geniuses at giving him opponents that people on paper look at and be like, oh, Jake Paul's not a real fighter, he won't be able to beat this guy. This is very, 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 very minimal risk for Jake Paul. The only factor that could come into play here is if Chavez Jr. decides he actually wants to show up properly for this fight, conditioned, and use his experience to win. But Jake Paul, for me and his team, have been very, very careful about who they matchmake him against ever since the Tommy Fury fight. Ever since here, we haven't seen him in there with someone his own age, his own weight, and his own sort of experience. For me, if Jake Paul wants to be a YouTube boxer still, and he wants to be considered an influencer boxer, matchmaking him against these guys that on paper, oh, this is a big challenge for Jake Paul, in reality not really, is okay. But I think if Jake Paul actually is what he says he wants to be, and he wants to make that step up, man, he's going to have to take risks.
That's it for today's breakdown. If Jake Paul earned your respect, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next video.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more exciting videos, make sure to hit the bell icon and stay updated. Subscribe to Boxing Hub now for all the latest in boxing.